Companies fail to execute these brilliant, intricate plans all the time, and it's usually for one simple reason. The strategy is just too complex. But what if the most powerful, unifying element in your entire marketing department wasn't a 50-page document, but a single contrarian sentence? A sentence that makes every single execution decision instantly clear. Today, we're going to unpack a method designed to do just that, to cut through all the noise and create something so potent it can realign an entire organization. We're talking about the strategic hook.
So let's start with the fundamental problem. Look, companies rarely fail because their plans aren't smart. They fail because those brilliant plans are buried in complexity. The strategy becomes this dense document that, let's be honest, sits in a folder somewhere and no one can really remember it or act on it consistently. It's this quiet crisis of complexity that ends up leading to a very, very loud failure in execution.
So, what if the solution isn't another dense strategy document? What if you could actually unify your entire organization with one single provocative sentence? Just imagine that for a second. A sentence that makes every decision, from marketing campaigns to product features, instantly clear. Now, this isn't just some thought experiment. It's the very core of a really powerful strategic tool.
And this slide really lays out the two paths you can take. On the left, you've got the usual suspect, that complex plan. It gives you this illusion of detail, but what it really creates is strategic inertia and honestly paralyzing confusion. But on the right, you have the single sentence. It delivers the raw power of clarity, which is what drives aligned action and a unified mission. It is literally the difference between stagnation and scalable growth.
All right, so here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with what I call the strategy paradox, and then we'll define the anchor of clarity that actually solves it. After that, we'll open up the hood on the contrarian engine, understand the psychology of simplicity that makes it work, and then finally, we'll get practical and cover how you can master the hook for yourself.
So let's dive into section 1, the anchor of clarity. Where did this idea even come from? Well, it wasn't born in a vacuum. It was really forged to solve a very modern and, frankly, extremely expensive problem, the crisis of organizational misalignment.
Think about it for a second. In today's market, customers demand a completely seamless experience, right? That means your sales team, your support team, and your engineering team have to be executing the exact same idea instantly. And when they don't, the result is just pure waste. We're talking wasted ad spend, wasted engineering cycles, wasted sales efforts. This strategic misalignment, it's not just a frustration, it's a massive financial drain, all caused by an unclear direction. So here it is, the formal definition. The strategic hook is a simplifying anchor that is designed to replace that long strategy doc. And it's built on 3 core principles. It has to be simple, it has to be shareable, and, this is key, it has to defy your market's core assumptions. This kind of clarity isn't a nice to have, it's the absolute foundation for any kind of scalable growth.
All right, section 2, the contrarian engine. We know what the hook is, but to really see why it's so incredibly effective, we need to pop the hood and look at its core mechanism. This isn't just about coming up with a clever phrase, it's a finely tuned system designed for maximum clarity and differentiation.
So this engine runs on 3 interconnected functions that work in perfect harmony. First, the contrarian position. That's your core differentiator. Second, that same position becomes an internal filter, which empowers your teams to make decisions. And third, that very same hook becomes an external amplifier, your core message to the world. Let's break down how they connect. Okay, the first function is the contrarian position, and its whole job is differentiation. It must violate the market's most common, most boring assumption. The example given is perfect. If every single car company out there is selling speed, your hook becomes ruthless safety. All of a sudden, you're not just another choice in the lineup. By taking the opposite stance, you become the alternative.
Now, this is absolutely critical. The hook's most important job is internal. It acts as a decision-making filter for your teams. What it does is turn every choice into a simple yes or no. Does this new product feature support ruthless safety? Yes. Does this new ad campaign highlight speed? Nope. This just eliminates all the endless debate and ensures every single dollar you spend reinforces the core mission. And finally, the hook becomes your external amplifier. Because it's so simple and so unique, it has what psychologists call cognitive fluency. All that means is that the brain finds it incredibly easy to process. This makes your message not only easy for customers to remember, but more importantly, easy for them to share. It's the engine of real organic word-of-mouth marketing.
Let's move on to section 3, the psychology of simplicity. So we've seen the mechanics, But the real magic is in why our brains are so receptive to this. The hook capitalizes on the brain's hardwired preference for two things: simplicity and novelty.
This slide illustrates the cognitive science behind it perfectly. Think of your brain as having two gears. There's the high-effort gear, that's what you use to process a 50-page document. It's slow, it's deliberate, it's exhausting. But then there's the low-effort, intuitive gear. That's the one that processes a single, clear sentence. A strategic hook is designed specifically for that low-effort gear, making it easy to remember and almost effortless to execute on. The other psychological lever at play here is novelty. Our brains have developed this incredible filter to ignore the thousands of ads we see every day. We call it ad blindness. You know the feeling. A truly contrarian hook just bypasses that filter. When everyone else is shouting speed, the message of ruthless safety is so different that it actually cuts through the noise and gets remembered.
And what this unique position creates is something we can call a relatability anchor. It's like the mental shortcut the customer uses to define you. While all your competitors' generic claims just blend together into background noise, your contrarian anchor is what sticks in their mind. It clearly defines who you are and, more importantly, why you matter to them.
All right, Section 4, Mastering the Hook. We've gone through the theory, the mechanics, and the psychology. Now let's get practical and translate all of that into an actionable framework. This is how you move from just understanding the concept to actually putting it to work.
Creating a really powerful strategic hook boils down to 3 clear steps. First, you have to audit the assumption your entire market is built on. Second, you engineer the binary filter to make it a practical, everyday tool. And third, you test the memorability to make sure it actually works, starting with your very own team.
So step 1 is to audit the assumption. You need to put on your detective hat here and find the single biggest, most boring, most accepted idea that all of your competitors rely on. What is the unquestioned truth in your industry? Once you find it, your job is to build a hook that is its direct opposite. That's where true differentiation comes from.
Step 2, engineer the binary filter. And I mean engineer it. The hook isn't a fluffy marketing slogan. It's an operational tool. It has to be written so precisely that every team, whether it's product, HR, or sales, can use it to make a simple yes or no decision. If an idea doesn't directly support the hook, the answer is no, period. It has to be that ruthless.
And then step 3, you test for memorability. But here's the key. Before you ever take your hook to the market, you test it internally. The hook is your single most important internal communication tool. If your own team can't repeat it back to you accurately after hearing it just once, then your strategy is already broken. External success always starts with internal clarity.
And at the end of the day, that's the core of this entire framework. 1. Your strategy only works when every single employee and eventually every customer understands one single idea. Not a complicated mission statement, not a list of values. One core, guiding idea.
So the ultimate takeaway here is this. The clarity of your idea is the single greatest predictor of your success and execution. This isn't about having a bigger budget or a more creative team. It's about the cold, hard logic of strategic simplification. It works because it gives people the clear, unambiguous guidance they desperately need to execute effectively. By designing a single contrarian hook, you eliminate all that ambiguity and you focus your entire organization on amplifying the one idea that truly matters. Because the best strategies and the very best marketing aren't just clever. They are, quite simply, too simple to ignore.